Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Offstage with the New York Philharmonic at Barnes & Noble. I'm Jeff Spurgeon from WQXR. And with me are two great musicians who are collaborating not for the first time together, but for the first time in New York. And one of them is making his New York Philharmonic debut. On my left is the Swiss-French-German conductor Philippe Jordan, whichever you like.
Whatever.
All right.
I'm used to everything.
And on my right is the wonderful French pianist Pierre-Laurent Aimard. Would you please welcome them?
And I must say, Aimard was very well pronounced.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm working hard on it. I really am.
I'm sure, because it's not easy.
It's Beethoven and Dvorak and Smetana for this program tomorrow night. That is Maestro Jordan's debut with the New York Philharmonic. We should talk a little bit about the first time with an orchestra. When did you first meet the New York Philharmonic?
Yesterday, with the first rehearsal. As we know, the rehearsals are very short and very few rehearsals in the United States. You just have the usual four rehearsals, which is less than we have in Europe, where we have sometimes 5 to 6 rehearsals, sometimes a little longer. So that's very, very short, but it's very efficient. And as we know, American orchestras are very fast and efficient in their work. So it's a blast working like that.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, to be fast and efficient?
It is good. It is. You don't have to teach notes. You can go a very fast way. You start from the beginning, and the orchestra takes over very fast, which is very nice. And you can start right away with working on the pieces. Although lots of these pieces the orchestra hasn't played for a long, long time. Lots of musicians don't know at all because it's a very unusual repertoire. But yeah, it's a good thing as long as it can take development, which it usually does. Yeah.
You said that these are pieces that the Philharmonic doesn't play very often. Ma Vlast and the Czech Suite and...
It's very surprising. The librarian told me yesterday one piece of Ma Vlast, the first one, Vyšehrad, has been played by the Philharmonic in 1918. The Czech Suite in 1922. From Bohemia's Forests and Meadows in 1966 and Sharka in 2002. The Moldau, of course, I'm sure they played several times. Yeah, there's no doubt. But that's quite surprising. I didn't know that.
Is that a program that you selected?
I suggested, among other pieces, Ma Vlast as well, and they liked the idea because it's never
been played.
Performed. Yeah, so I'm really glad we can do this now, and it's a great opportunity. Yeah, and the Czech Suite was just a selection to find a starter, which gives kind of frame to the program and a beautiful introduction to poetic introduction to this program.
So having played the Beethoven 3 a couple of weeks ago together with a different orchestra, what has happened in the rehearsal process with the same work, the same conductor and soloist, and a different orchestra?
I mean, we've been meeting for the first time in San Francisco, and which was a very pleasant meeting for me, and I'm very happy. We had the rehearsal today for the Beethoven, and it's like starting on a different level because we had some performances going already to develop together, to get each other know better. So everything felt very much more natural now this time and easier. So we're going on just having a development, which is a great opportunity. It was quite a coincidence. It wasn't planned at all. But I'm very glad we can go a step further now, 5 weeks later.
And it's nice for you because you have a friend out on stage tomorrow night when you make your debut with
Absolutely.
Hopefully.
That's true. It's 24 hours. Something can go very sour between now
Everything could happen. You know?
So do you feel a great deal of pressure in a debut like this?
Pressure is one word. I would say I have lots of respect for such a debut, and of course it's always a first meeting with a new orchestra is always something weird because you don't know what's going to happen, how it's going to click, how's the psychology, how are they responding to your beat, to your acting, to what you say. There are a lot of things, different ideas of style or personality. So it is every time a new challenge. And a lot of things are going to be decided already in the first rehearsal. And however this rehearsal goes, you will see we can still change some bits to the performances or during the performances, but actually everything is already set there, and that's quite challenging. Yeah. But I had quite a bit of meetings this year. I'm at the Cleveland Symphony, the Philadelphia and Chicago at the beginning of the year. So I already have an idea how these major orchestras in the States work, so I could get an idea. And so it's nice to continue with this orchestra now. Yeah.
Mr. Aimard, I wanted to talk to you about your beginnings with the piano. How old were you when you started to play?
5, like many of us.
Did you discover it on your own? Was somebody pushing you? Was it in the family?
No, I visited some relatives, and there was a grand uncle that lived in Savoy, and you know, this part of France that used to be a part of Italy that has traveled between both countries. And there were a big tradition there for mandolins, or a lot of instruments coming from more southern parts from Europe than France. And this grand something had an amateur orchestra of mandolins. So I was looking there, all the mandolins and other instruments. This was very nice. And then at the moment of leaving, there was an upright piano. Just made, and that was it. Very strong.
I'm fascinated to talk to musicians about this, because I wonder if you had any choice. You were born to be a pianist, and it seems you found it in that one note.
Well, you can get a chance to realize what you were maybe born for. So, of course, yes, you can love strongly something. And it's very interesting to see how early or later a key vocation comes for somebody, isn't it? So, and how you see that teenagers or young adults are extremely oriented in one direction, maybe for losing it later, who knows. Some of them discover themselves later. So this game with personal identity is, of course, very interesting.
As a teenager, you became successful very quickly. You won the Olivier Messiaen competition when you were 16 or 17 years old, maybe not even quite that old. And then just a couple of years later, Pierre Boulez plucked you out and said, come and join the Ensemble Intercontemporain. That must have been a pretty heady experience for you.
This was a fantastic experience, but that came as number 2. I'm happy that, first of all, I've done my own activity following this Messiaen Prize after 16, my own recitals, my own programs that were, I think, not too bad at this moment. And that means to find really, I think, a kind of identity in the activity. Because, of course, if you have a chance to meet some giant like Mr. Boulez, and then, of course, the danger could have to have always one head over your shoulder and looking at you. And I think this is the case with great masters, of course. You are full on the knees of admiration, you drink everything you can, you learn all what you can, and afterwards you try to integrate that and to become yourself and to make that cells from yourself, but you will keep your own soul and your own decision. This is what is interesting in the process.